Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting list video here at Playing Board Games, where today we're going to be talking about 5 cards that were better than we originally thought. Whether this be that the card we thought was really bad was actually fine.
Kinda okay.
Whether the cards we thought were going to be good but exceeded those expectations. Or whether, the card we thought was going to be bad actually turned out to be gangbusters. I don't think there's going to be any of those. Maybe not for me. There was none that I was like, this card's awful. And I was like, actually, whoa, it's incredible. But, let's dive in. Bryn, what is your number 5?
Alright, we got Perseverance. If you watch any of our gameplay, you'll know that on the occasion that I play Red, I frequently play this card. But when it came out, I was like, this is bad, you have to be dying to play it.
And now you're dying to play it, am I right?
Yeah, but it turns out that this card is kind of like a Guts.
Yep.
Like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you don't get to draw the card, but sometimes you just don't die. Oftentimes, you end up very low towards the end of a scenario. And there's some sort of a card in the Mythos deck that just kills you. This card says it probably doesn't. And also you can, if you have a bunch of soak in play and you're kind of low, you can just choose to assign the damage to yourself and then be like, nah.
Yeah.
I won't die though. I think this card is admittedly at the beginning I thought it was only lose slower, but it turns out that oftentimes lose slower is like win next turn instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen you get good success out of this one not dying. Yeah.
I think this card is actually just good.
Sick. I always forget that it's a Guts, too.
Anytime I have like one card slot floating around, quite often it gets filled with Perseverance if it can be.
Yep, yeah, definitely. Alright. My number 5 is Momentum. So this is another one of those cards that I thought I would never play. And I think it's not gangbusters, but it was better than I expected. So this card actually has a lot of utility. I'm playing this right now in Amanda Sharp, where it's just absolutely freaking bonkers. But what really made me start to evaluate this card more was there was a comment on a video where this is a solution that a green character can use to beat a Frozen in Fear, right? Because you can just use this to like evade an enemy that you're going to be evading anyway, and you succeed by a bunch because that's what your character is built to do, and then now your Frozen in Fear test is a 1 or even a 0, in which case you can just say goodbye to it.
Fire up the old lockpicks
and
laugh
then,
your way to the bank.
Exactly, and then also as well with this, just like you're exactly like with lockpicks, and also just green in general, you care about succeeding by a number. So you're going to be getting advantage of it, and then what this also does is it helps your next test be more likely for you to succeed by that. Mm-hmm. So like I don't think like the card is like an auto-include or even close to a staple, but it has a lot more utility than I originally gave it credit for when I first read it.
It's practiced.
It's practiced.
It's practice, yeah.
Yeah. And with its...
You can just start chaining with practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
It'd be good if I played green cards.
Yeah. Or, as I said, I'm experiencing Amanda Sharp right now, and it's freaking wild.
Fire up the old sawn-off shotgun.
Yep.
Practice makes perfect into this.
Also, is really good with that one card that's been banned, the only one that's forbidden. I don't even know the name of it anymore. Double or nothing.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about that card in a long time.
Yeah, that's why I forgot the name. It's just left my brain.
You can't play with it.
No.
Yeah.
All right, Travis, what's your number 5?
It is Act of Desperation. A lot of these cards on my list are cards that like I just kind of glanced over when the set came out, and I was like, that's a lot of text, and it's probably bad. Especially this one that requires you to like throw away one of your things. But then I was forced into playing with it, and it was...
Man, that fabled grenade Act of Desperation has like cemented something on this channel.
Yeah, no, that was a great Mark Harrigan deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's just you get to kill something and then you get money back to play your next thing. It's just a really good. It's just a really good card, man.
Yeah.
It's a great economy card. It's a great way to like. I mean, you're gonna probably discard your empty gun or whatever anyway. It's like a little bit awkward that it's in red, where it's much more home with like Guardians, in particular, and like probably the occasional Rogue. But
It's a rickety card dragon by. Heck yeah.
yeah, impressed by this card when I played it.
Have you ever gotten to throw away a level 3 Thompson?
You know,
45
that sounds
Thompson
like a
with
lot
it?
of money.
Because it's a buttload of money.
That does sound
So much money.
I had made
man.
money from this transaction
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, I'm up $5. I'm gonna play this Thompson again because
Yeah.
it's well maintained.
I played my gun, I shot all the bullets in, I threw it
Yeah.
away, and I have more money than I started with.
How work?
Yeah,
How
right.
work?
It's like a perpetual motion device.
Yeah.
All right, Bryn, what's your number 4?
We got Waylay.
Bonk.
Yeah, so in general, I'm not a fan of cards that are like, evade the enemy, then make another test, and if it doesn't work, I do nothing. But the payoff on this one is kind of real. There are a lot of enemies that the game is like, this is hard to kill because it's got a giant beef slab of health. And you're like, yeah, but how hard is it to get away from? And they're like, oh, it's so slow. It's the slowest
got 2
thing.
foot in
Yeah.
it. You're like, okay.
Like,
It's a
alright.
dog. They're slow.
Well, this child's gonna beat him with a horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with our recent Forgotten Age return to, which is now done on the channel, so we can talk about everything. Was the Wendy Adams just
That one snake guy she killed like 3 times.
yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and it defeats them. So like, you know, if they've got victory, you just get that too.
Yeah. For like a hell of a lot less tests.
Yeah.
Just
It's a
2.
level 0 card too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got good symbols, like
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not saying this card is busted and you should play it in every single deck you play forever, but like, when it's good, it's good.
yeah, you should think about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Guess you could say it was a card that was better than you originally thought,
You
right?
could say that.
You could.
You could
It's
say that.
really
I'm not
good
going to,
though.
but you could.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
go around bonking the friends.
All right. My number 4 is Enraptured. So you're gonna. A lot of mine on my list are actually just skill cards that commit for 1 symbol. Because for a long time I was just like, yeah, who cares? It's 1 symbol. I'll just play one of the ones with 2, or just a card that I can do something with, like an event. But recently, Enraptured also happens to be practiced. It's kind of just something that happens here.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But it finds a home in any deck of mine that plays purple and uses book and has something that cares about charge or secrets. That sounds like a pretty small thing to have be a combination, but I've played Enraptured in probably actually like the majority of my recent decks that I've played here. Adding more charges or secrets on something you control by just investigating, because you're going to be doing it anyway, is nice. It's basically just you're getting +1 to add a charge or a secret onto something you control, and you're going to succeed because it's one of your tests that you do and pass. And then it just also in the Mandy deck that unfortunately YouTube hated, it just made more Pendant of the Queen, which was a pretty sick time.
So much Pendant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or more Mr. Rook, which was also a really
Yeah.
good time.
To be fair, this card was pretty bad when it came out.
Yeah,
There was nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
that's
Like,
fair.
there weren't there are things you want to put charges or secrets on, but
None of them were
like
impactful
Daisy
enough.
was the only one who could really play it, and then there weren't any purple investigators who had high book at the time or wanted to use it.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
kind of opened up in Mr. Luke Robinson, who came out.
Him and it's the obvious one. It's pretty solid, like Marie Lumbo too.
Yep.
Yeah, I just like the idea of practice makes perfect in Luke Robinson. When you get this and he's takes a hit off his gate box and everyone's like, Luke, are you sure? And he's like, practice makes perfect.
That one was just the practice.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, we're doing it again.
And I mean, now, if I'm playing even just Daisy, because I'm gonna get to the upgrade old book of lore. I just put it in. It's just it goes in my decks now. It's now just I don't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, Enraptured's in here. It's one of the few cards that I like. Yeah, it wasn't great at the beginning, but I just totally I would just skip past and I don't care about this nerd reading a book.
Play it in
And
Jim
now I'm like,
Calder.
give me the nerd reading a
He's
book.
not reading it, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
He was reading it.
He just fell asleep or whatever.
He's trying. The book he's trying to read there is actually Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis,
Yeah.
what's your number 4?
It's a good question. It's leadership level too. Hey, check out this one's practice, and that's actually relevant to the story here. So this one I thought was garbage because level 0 leadership was garbage. And
It's
then
not
one day I
garbage,
was
but okay.
playing Practice Makes Perfect in my blue deck because I had noticed the Vicious Blow and Overpower practiced. And I was like, man, I wish I had more punch things that were practiced or wild. And then I was like, well, I'll try leadership. And it was great. Let me tell you, the amount of money you make off this as a guardian is whew. Also, one of your friends gets to like pass a test or whatever. But like, it's really good. It's a lot of money, man. Like, they get to pass their wrong remains, and you each get 2 resources, and then they get to do that again later.
Yeah.
Or also, like, if you happen to find during your punch test or whatever, like, that's fine. You just take your +1, probably still succeed, and, like, you get 2 resources.
I'm going to just say it's definitely no coincidence that we've started noticing practice skills and their power more after Practice Makes Perfect came out. That's definitely not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Practice Makes Perfect could be on this list too.
Good.
It's not. I hope.
Well, you think I would just put a bunch of practice skills on here and then also Practice Makes
Maybe.
Perfect?
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe. Yeah. I
Who
mean, like we
knows?
thought that card was pretty medium, and it turns out it's really not.
It's kind of busted, man.
Yeah.
All right, Bryn, what's your number 3?
We got custom ammunition. So when this card came out, I made fun of it a lot because, firstly,
It's like confession.
extra ammunition just exists. Like it costs you need 2 less XP for the cost of 2 extra ammunitions. I can buy not even one of these, and also they cost 1 less resource to play, and I get 1 more bullet.
I mean,
Secondly,
I fast.
Yeah, I mostly made fun of this one for being like one of 2 off-color cards that Father Mateo could play at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but then you gotta have a gun. But yeah, it turns out that the line of text that says that you get +1 damage against monster enemies, there's a lot of monster enemies, and a lot of them have an odd number of health.
All of them have a lot of health.
Yeah.
Like 3 or more.
Yeah, I mean, with Leo
Yeah.
shooting snakes.
It's
that
it's
was
pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't recall Leo shooting at snakes.
Later on, he did. In the beginning, he didn't when he was too busy being Groot.
I am Gort.
My number 3 is sorry, I can press this keyboard. Flare. So the reason number 1 why this card was better than I thought was that someone told me, because I only played this when we did our first Dunnage campaign, and at that point we were like bad. And I didn't know that if you miss with the flare, it doesn't exile. It's only if you actually get an ally does it exile itself on the bottom ability due to the then comma rule.
Yeah, sure.
But so I would just fire the flare I'd miss, and I'd be like, "Oh, that was fun. I'm going to do it again." I've always had a soft spot for flare,
I'm gonna do it again.
and I think now especially that allies have gotten stronger for the majority of the classes in the game. Or you have to build things, for example, what is going to be on tomorrow's Circle Undone video, seeing Travis do this in his Roland Banks deck.
This is a tactic.
It's kind of just reminded me more about how this card, and I want to play it again, and how it's just improved since I first played it when I was like, this is fun, but it's a bad card and I'm never going to play it again. But now I'm like, this is a tool to ensure that you get your machine up and running quicker.
Yeah, it's a
more
prepare
consistent.
for the worst for allies.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited to play with it as soon as I can. I think it'll be a fun time.
Card is really good.
Yeah, and I'm also excited to use it as a weapon, because I forget that exists, and it's a pretty good weapon.
It's a pretty solid fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are big numbers.
Number big.
Travis, what's your number 3?
Hey, check out, it's a green card. I promise this one isn't here because I think all green cards are bad. But, so I spent a lot of time looking at a lot of cards that I previously had glossed over the past summer when I was doing up all the expanded deck guides. And this is one that I kept seeing, and like, it's a level 1 card. so like lots of investigators can play it. If they can play green cards, they can probably play Easy Mark. And like, so green likes to have lots of resources, but it turns out that at level 0, their options for that are bad. You got like they're either they're like contingent on over succeeding, like Gregor Guy or Watch This, or they're like investments. Now we have Faustian Bargain, which is a huge plus. But like, and I was just like, man, like this deck just like you could just play this to have more money and more cards, and that'd be great. Like, it's like it's like you get to play 3 more emergency caches kind of in your deck for one experience. Like the opportunity cost is so low, and like it makes your deck so much more consistent. Yeah. Especially like even if you're only playing them one at a time, it's fine. If you're playing more than one of the same action, like
yeah.
Yeah, anytime you get, don't wait till you have all 3 of them.
No.
One of them is like a cache.
Yeah.
2 of them is real good.
Like it's just so much bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm. I will say there's no better feeling playing this game than playing Easy Mark into the second one in your hand, and the second one draws you the third one, and you're just like, yes, I can't lose. And then the game's like, take damage, and you're like, oh,
I'm dead!
Are you going to be so real with those resources? You're like, no.
Yeah. Of course
well, I wasn't going to do anything with them. I just wanted to have them.
Yeah. All right. Bryn, what's your number 2?
I got Cunning Distraction. This card costs 5. And I pretty much wrote it off as like unplayable because of that. It costs 5 and it's red. Turns out that like another card on this list, this card is always Guts.
Yep.
At its worst. And when it's good, like you might have just won a scenario you shouldn't have. You had no business.
It's really good as well if like everyone's deck is bad.
It's really good. No one can pass tests.
That is true. Initially, I viewed this as like a turkey cost me 5 resources. Yeah. But like, no. What cost me 5 resources is carrying a turkey with me all day.
And then expertly throwing it in the room. Yeah. I mean, recently saw Travis play this as Preston in our horrible draft deck.
God, that was actually a nightmare.
And it did fantastic. Mm-hmm. Every time
it pulled us through a couple of scenarios.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
And
like single-handedly.
I still can't believe that draft challenge actually we won.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it still stands true that it'll do great work, even if your decks like aren't bad. But like if it's part of your game plan, this card will bring it.
Yeah, I think that playthrough was like one of our best played, but also probably the least fun we've all had playing this game ever.
And Bryn is just Minty fan, which is so funny. That's when we learned. That's when we started learning. Bryn just hates basic investigate.
Yeah.
Like why would I do that?
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, no, like a lot of things there's everything we hate. Bryn just basic investigate. You have to play a bunch of purple cards.
After playing purple cards for like a year.
Yeah. And I had to play some stupid gimmicky investigator with no stats.
And then the perfect cap was that I turned into Lola.
Yeah. It was spoilers, we won.
Yeah, we freaking won the only time we won. Alright. My number 2 is Stunning Blow.
Crap.
I've been talking about this card a lot because it's freaking baller, man. The card's incredible. Like, this is actually one of the few that
it's practiced.
Think... It is practiced, yeah. I think this is one that I actually thought was bad, and now I think is like really, really good. And it's all just because Bryn said, hey, this card's good, and we played it, and then we're like, it actually is good.
No, I was on the same boat.
Yeah, because like, if you're fighting, you now just turn a fight action into an evade action. And like, there are times where just the amount of health that you draw, you can't manage with the actions you have. And that's just the reality. And sometimes what's better is just being like, go to sleep, and I'm going to finish you off and then not take any damage.
Yep.
Go to Sleep.
I usually don't run 2 in my decks. It's usually just like a 1 of if I have to. If I have 2 slots, I do. But even just a 1 of, it does work. Because you really don't need that effect too much. But when you can get it, it's good. And then if you're in Silas and you can recur it, it's even frickin' juicier.
Yeah.
Hot tech. If you're playing the Dreamer's side, play 2 of these. The cats from Saturn will never know what hit them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's just a kill.
They'll make the exact same face this stick is.
Yeah, that's gonna be them.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that is some hot tech. Sweet.
Yeah, like this is the card that Handcuffs wishes it was.
You know?
Like, you get to evade with your punch, and
Yep.
you do a damage, and you didn't have to pay money to put it into, and an action to put it into play, and a new action only on a
Handcuffs
humanoid.
deals with them permanently. They don't gain doom. It's obviously it's a different function. But
I'm just saying, like, I'd rather be hitting this snake in
Yeah.
the back of the head with a pipe.
And I think the reason why I didn't give it a fair shake is because for some reason in my head I always looked at this just as an evade. But this is
Yeah.
evade on top of damage with the
Yeah.
weapon you're already using.
well, yeah,
too.
it's like you're like I'm a fighter. Why would I need to evade it? I'm just
Yeah.
gonna kill it. But sometimes you can't.
Yeah. And then also it's sick because you can also just use it that someone else is holding and be like, trust me, I'm going to nuke this guy.
Trust me.
And
How
then
many
you
times
do.
have we said that?
Yeah.
I think we never said it when you killed me, and I think that was the problem.
Okay, I didn't ask if you trusted me. I just did it.
Yeah.
No, one of-
No. I said take the first shot, and then it just got worse, and we were in for a penny, in for a
I do
pound,
remember
right?
saying,
Sunk
"What are the
cost
odds
fallacy.
that I'll fail at 30?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
remember that very
one of
distinctly.
like the thing to me that pushes this over the edge is nowhere on this card does it say non-elite.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
pretty
that's
fair.
quite strong.
It's a good card.
There's a lot of ancient ones and other late game bosses where they're like, I'm scary because if you miss, I'll hit you for 2 and 2.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, but like I'm gonna hit you with this first, and then it doesn't matter.
Kneecap you.
Yeah, we're just
Like,
gonna,
ow.
gonna spend the rest of the turn just standing in a
Dude,
circle
yeah,
trying to beat you to death.
The formless Bob's like, hey.
Or
Where
you're
am
just like,
I?
you're just like Ashla Naka, and you're just like, sit down, go to sleep for a bit, you spider.
Yeah.
All right, Travis, what's your number 2?
Hey. It's practice makes perfect.
It's on every Travis list ever.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought this car was garbage, and then it wasn't, and now it's
It's busted.
it's like too good. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know, man. Like, this is one of those cards that initially I read, and it was like, there's too many words on it. It can't be good.
Yeah.
And then like playing with it is like, it's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
You commit the skill. You get to dig out the skill that's relevant, and you get to get it for this test, and then you pass this test because you're committing a skill to it. Why wouldn't you? And then you get it back, and you get to do it again later.
Unless you're me, I always, whenever
You
I
do it for
do
other
this,
people
I
too.
always draw my auto-fail. I always draw my auto-fail.
Yeah.
You can do it for other people too.
Yeah. As said earlier, Practice Makes Perfect has warped how we viewed other skills now. Like, it's awoken other skills for us.
Yeah, you're like,
I
well,
think
if I
all-
could use this like 4 times in a game instead of twice.
Albeit Stunning Blow wasn't because of Practice Makes Perfect, but both Momentum and Enraptured were picked up for me because of Practice Makes Perfect. I started to play them more and see
Leadership
the
for me.
value of them. Yeah. Like, it's really just awoken that.
Yeah, like anytime I'm building a deck that can play yellow cards, I'm like, what kind of practice skills do I have available to me?
It also makes me curious because...
It's kind of tiring, to be honest. But I want to see an upgrade version of this card that lets you. It's like 3 experience or whatever, because non-yellow plebs shouldn't be allowed to play it. But then I can find practiced or expert skills.
Oh yeah, expert makes perfect.
Yeah.
It also makes me kind of curious to, because obviously like Amanda, she's the practiced one, but because Kate Winthrop's in the art, I'm curious to see if she has any synergy with this, or maybe she'll care about like expert stuff as it gets going. If she's going to
Yeah,
be,
I should probably do science stuff.
yeah. I hope not. That just seems kind of. The card has to be good for her. That's the rule, though. With the art, right? Is the rule.
It'd be neat if she was
It
like.
does.
Well, she will be yellow, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be good with her.
It'd be neat if she was like a untranslated investigator, and you
Ooh,
could
yeah.
like discard an untranslated card to search your deck for a different, like one with a different subtype.
That's cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
A little narrow, but
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we need those kind of narrow designs too for investigators.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I find the only acceptable use of this card is to try to dig out the home front.
That is
It's
sick.
up there for one of the
doing
best
that.
ones.
I'm doing that. It's a good time.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just like, not only will I heal too, but you will die.
Yeah. All right, Bryn, what's your number one?
We got Anna Caslow.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure this card was actually just garbage, and it's not the inclusion of more cards in the game, like more tarot cards in the game, that has made this good. But like actually playing with this card, it's sort of just like, yeah, sure, it's a 3-costed ally, and it doesn't soak anything, but it also just gives you a buff to whatever skill you want, assuming that you're allowed to play the tarot cards that do that in the color that your investigator is. But like, if the tarot cards in your investigator's color don't do anything for you, like,
Red.
yeah, like,
I'm not scared.
yeah, you're probably playing Calvin, but then also like, this is real good because you're just like 2 of them.
2 of them, and also shuffle
Yeah.
away the bad one. You have
Yeah.
the 9 of rods or whatever the good rod
Yeah.
one is.
No, I think she's really actually quite strong. There's a lot of versatility in this card, and with the new tarot cards, I'm not saying that I am revisiting ideas for the live deck building series, but there are some new ones. You might see this card a bit.
Yeah. Sick. All right, my number one is Elusive.
Yeah.
And this one's, I haven't, on the Patreon channel, I'm rewatching all of our old player card reviews and giving thoughts on how things have changed since then.
It's a good plug, Chris.
And this card, I didn't realize what it did till it got tabooed. Like, because I always, like, as Bryn played the green ones, I would skim over them, and I'm like, this is good, you move.
No, it's fair. I was in a very similar boat, too, where I just didn't look at the green cards, because that's what
Yeah.
Bryn was going to play. We only had one collection, so...
And then when I read Elusive for the first time, I was just like, this is good, you move. But I didn't understand how much action you actually got out of this card back when I first read it, right? So like
How
the reason
important that was.
exactly, and like the reason why I like when I saw that this was tabooed, then suddenly I was like, oh my god, like wait a minute, this is freaking crazy. Albeit back then we weren't making Arkham Horror content at the quantity that we are, nor for the fact that like I'm literally now playing Arkham Horror like 3 days a week, right? So like I have a lot more of the game in me.
Yeah, back then it was like, hey, you guys want to hang out and play Arkham? You were like, sure, is it okay if we have the camera on? We were like, yeah.
I don't know how much is it okay if we cuss.
Yeah.
And it's now I wouldn't make that mistake. Like I see like Scout Ahead, and I'm like, okay, this card's bonkers, right?
Yeah, cards like Nimble or Scout Ahead. Like,
Yeah. Even Nimble though, I
Yeah.
actually didn't realize the value of it until I played it too. But yeah, but with Elusive, that would never slip by. Like this card, as printed, is freaking nuts.
I mean, like, that's pretty much what this guy's doing. He's slipping by.
It's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's putting his glasses on so those people don't recognize him.
Yeah.
Look, if it works for Clark Kent.
It's yeah. All right, Travis, what's your number one?
Okay, honesty time. When we started playing the game, Dr. Milan and Christopher, we thought was not a bad card, but like just an okay card. This is a very, very, very good card. Especially on Tabooed.
There's, in our review of it, I think, because Travis and I talked about the yellow cards.
Yeah.
And we were both just like, he's fine. That's what we
he's
said.
okay.
And this was pre-taboo.
Yeah, like he has been errated, and this is still like the yellow ally of choice.
Yeah.
It has been for like 4 years.
Yeah. And like now there's Jeremiah Kirby or whatever his name is, but like
Yeah, maybe he'll get more for his money, but
it doesn't
extra resource every turn is like hard to beat, man.
Yes.
Yeah. I was playing a Harvey Walters deck, and you'd get this guy in play, and you'd have your Vault of Knowledge, and you'd be like, I'm going to take an investigate action, and I get a free refresh phase, like, right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my my not so secret shames because we talk about this game all the time. But Dr. Milan, I was just like, I think at one point I was just like, I'm not playing this guy. I don't like him.
Yeah.
4 resources for +1 book. That's garbage.
Yeah. And now it's like, that's fine. And then you get a resource too?
You're like, it's free for the amount of times I'm going to investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is also important for new players as well who usually watch our list videos. Like, it's okay if your ability to identify the quality of a card changes as you play the game more. That's literally how you can tell you are learning and getting better at the game. I think even like another one too was Rite of Seeking. You weren't hot on for a long time, and then you played with it, and you're just like, it's
like pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, especially in multiplayer, like.
Yeah. No,
Well, back then
Travis spent a lot of time being like, this card just ends your whole turn sometimes, and it's like, right, but if you don't have a turn left, it doesn't do anything.
And like the best way to
but
learn
like
is
investigate, not elevate the turn.
yeah, exactly, and the best way to learn is to put it into practice, play with it, and practice makes perfect.
That's good, Justin. In my defense, back then, with Rite of Seeking in particular, there weren't, like, all of the purple investigators were generalists.
Yes.
So there weren't
Yes.
any other, like, investigate cards to really compare it to other than, like, Drawn to the Flame.
And that's also too where also like evaluation changes as the card pool gets bigger. Like going back to Enraptured, cards improve as well, right? Yeah.
Because the purple guys you could play were, like, Agnes, very obviously a
Jim.
monster fighter. Jim, who is...
Very obviously bad.
Yeah.
you know. And then Akachi, who, at the time, like... you probably just like you didn't really have much to go with. I think we just didn't play purple in that cycle.
And also realistically too,
And then
when
Five
we
Mateo came out, and I was like, I learned the horrors of 4 Bryn.
yeah, and also realistically too, the way we played our purples, we never really did like because they weren't existent. Even for some time, we never had like a purple as our main clue getter, which is where Rite of Seeking
Really shines.
Yes.
I would get an entire person's worth of things in one action.
That's also how it changes too, the composition of how you play. Because there's like people who on this channel who say this card's great and they play solo, and you know it's great in solo, but for us, it's poopy.
Your opinion does not matter.
All right, that is it for today's list video. I want to do a big thank you to our patrons, as well as something we are starting on the Patreon page is having contributions on our list videos from our patrons. So this week's contribution is by Rowdy Owl, who says Relic Hunter is a card that they have found more use out of, and it's true. This is one that's a perfect example of as more accessories got added into the game. Relic Hunter now I'm buying more than Charisma. Because like I have my like
Yeah, Relic Hunter was kind of dirt when it came out. You're like, what am I gonna do? Wear 2 holy rosaries? Like that's not worth 3 experience.
But I mean, like, it kind of
It
turns out it
but
is.
like
when
back
you can,
then, you didn't value +1. Like +1 Bryn for 2 resources is like
yeah, like it is when you can reliably find that second holy rosary, but there wasn't a second holy rosary. That you couldn't play 4 holy rosaries in your deck.
Yeah.
Now you can.
Yeah, that's fair too.
And because like now like I usually have like a pretty strict ally plan, and it usually hovers around 1 ally now, but I'm like, yeah, I'll take another accessory slot because there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that.
Yeah, I don't think Charisma has gotten any better as the ally pool got bigger because like they were when it came in Dunwich, it was already really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ally pool was already very strong. But yeah, these days I buy Relic Hunter a lot because sometimes you want to bring cigarettes, but you also want to bring a piece of piano wire.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, you look back for the ally thing, look back at the allies that we play regularly, it's like B-Cop, Dr. Milan, and Pete.
Allies that you still just freaking play today.
That's what we got.
They're just good.
Sweet. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week for another exciting list video. Hope to see you guys then. What are cards that are better than you originally thought? Please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.